As you know, this act would establish the Office of Inspector General for the state of Rhode Island. And as you also know, this is not a new idea, nor is it a partisan one. Variations of this legislation have been submitted for years. In fact, there are 4 versions of this bill in the House and Senate this year alone. Now that the new Speaker of the House has thrown his support behind this idea, I hope that we will finally see this office established to ensure taxpayer funds are used for their intended purpose rather than being lost to inefficiency or misconduct. My bill has a few differences from the Speaker's bill, and I will get to those later, but first, I want to establish what this office would do and why it's needed. The office would be an independent administrative agency charged with the responsibility to investigate, detect, and prevent fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement in the expenditure of public funds. The key principle, and most important to the success of this office, is that it would operate independently from all other branches of government, with the authority to compel cooperation with its investigations and the objectivity to follow facts wherever they may lead. That was a reference for Senator DePalma. The Office of Inspector General will possess the authority to conduct audits and independently investigate and evaluate state agencies, quasi-state agencies, and municipal governments that utilize state funding. They require contracts and procurement, providing active, continuous oversight during ongoing contract execution and procurement cycles rather than waiting until a project is complete. It will design and lead training and compliance programs for state contractors and government procurement officials to optimize best practices and efficiency. The Office of Inspector General will have the authority to issue subpoenas and to compel production of documents and testimony to aid in its investigations. It will accept complaints from the public and to safeguard whistleblowers against retaliation. It will forward investigatory findings and evidence of criminal activity to the Attorney General for potential civil or criminal litigation and report annual findings to state leadership. As legislators, we pass a budget close to $15 billion this year, and we will debate and argue amongst ourselves, hear testimony, and fight to ensure monies go to the projects and policies we support. And we should fight just as hard to make sure those funds we appropriate are used as intended and in the most effective and efficient way possible. An Office of Inspector General will give us more tools and insights to guide our decision making. Having dedicated independent watchdog with the capability to comprehensively investigate waste, fraud, and abuse will go a long way in restoring faith in government, which has been sorely tested in infrastructure failures, inefficient policies and practices, and lapses in leadership. And with the potential that this office pays for itself through the savings it generates. It would also be a deterrent to financial mismanagement, not an added cost. And of course, the prime example is the Washington Bridge debacle that has frustrated Rhode Islanders for over 2 years with no day of reckoning or accountability in sight. Let's take just a minute to talk about the cost. Year after year, legislation has been submitted and we've received fiscal notes. And we have one shared with us today by the Office of Management and Budget. And they put a cost between $5 to $8.5 million. That's a lot. But those are Massachusetts numbers, and they're a much bigger state, obviously. I have always maintained that it will cost about $1.5 million, and the Speaker has said that he sees the cost for this proposal under $2 million. I just want to also be clear that this is not about adding bureaucracy. It's about protecting the state's bottom line, which is the essence of these two different bills. However, the devil is in the details, and my bill does differ from the Speaker's in scope. Mine covers entities created by the General Assembly. And there are also differences in the way the IG would be appointed, dismissed, their experience requirements, term limits, funding, even their relationship to the Auditor General and Attorney General. But despite these differences, this is the case of don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I think we can debate and amend through the process and even after the creation of the office. But I think it's important that we all agree on the need for this office and the urgency to establish it, because Rhode Islanders work hard to pay their taxes, and in return, they deserve absolute confidence that their hard-earned dollars are being spent legally, ethically, and efficiently.